Hey guys, Mr. Marcus here, and as you can see, we're back with some MyClub. And after the last episode's crazy thing of basically facing people in Division 6 and me in Division 7, I decided to change the matchmaking restrictions to same division only, so I can only face people who are in Division 7, or basically in the same division as I am, which is basically makes it a little bit more fairer for me, instead of facing people who are either in a lower division and just completely destroying them, or facing someone who's in a higher division and getting destroyed by them. So in today's episode, I actually have two matches for you, again, compared to usually just having one, because I wanted to change it up a little bit every once in a while. You get too much footage, and the game's usually very boring when it comes to only having maybe a 1-0 win or something, so I decided to change it up a little bit, and I've decided to put in two games today. So, as we see there, I decided to pick a night winter fine for the stadium, of course, and all that sort of stuff. And of course, he was playing with Benfica as his base team, but as you see there, he's got Sergio Aguero, which is just so goddamn annoying. He's got Christian Rodriguez at right wing forward, and Lucas Podolski there as well as Kabay, Pogba, Javi Martinez, Alexandro, Varane, Miranda, Lichtsteiner, and Diego Lopez in goal. So I knew it was going to be a very difficult game, especially when you're going against someone who has Sergio Aguero. But fortunately for me, I decided to get picked at one of my favourite stadiums in the game, which is the San Siro. Usually I get actually picked at the Giuseppe Meazza, but this time I actually get picked at the San Siro, which is always good because it's a little bit, well, it's not actually different at all because it's the exact same stadium, but basically I just enjoy it because I used to enjoy watching the Serie A and watching the likes of AC and Inter Milan when they were good, when they're not very good anymore. But in the first minutes of this match, Marquinhos basically plays through Daniel Sturridge in the first minutes of the match, get a shot away, and it's a pretty decent shot, but it doesn't really come to anything. But in the fourth minute of the match, Marquinhos with a really nice shot, and it goes out for a corner kick, again, which doesn't come to anything. But this guy was not the best player, and it was absolutely fun just to completely annihilate him in terms of just attacking players. We see Marquinhos there, probably would have scored the best goal I've ever scored if I had scored it. As you see, as basically it was like a really nice first touch with a nice little shot feint. But in the 20th minute of the match, after some nice build-up play from him, Burnett gets the ball back, gives it to Ambrosio, and Ambrosio hits it out to Iturbe. Iturbe basically runs past his Javi Martinez, and he tries to play an offside trap for some ridiculous reason, to be honest, and Iturbe just keeps running with the ball. Eventually I don't play it into anyone, I just get an opportunity to get a shot away. It's a good shot, it comes off the post, then Sturridge hits it, a good save from his goalkeeper, and again he tries to clear the ball, eventually does clear it out, but it doesn't come to anyone eventually until Burnett gets it, gives it to Javi Martinez, Martinez gives it to Marquinhos gives it to Daniel Sturridge, and Marquinhos pops in the back of the net with Iturbe on the ground the whole time. So after basically hitting the post and basically testing his goalkeeper, did a pretty decent job of scoring a goal, and then literally about basically from kickoff, he scores a goal with Sergio Aguero. Basically the thing with Sergio Aguero is you get the shot on target, you will most likely score with him. But in the 29th minute of the match, Marquinhos on the ball, plays it into Daniel Sturridge. Sturridge rounds his goalkeeper like an absolute beast and pops in the back of the net to make it 2-1. And then just before the half-time mark, he gets another opportunity with Sergio Aguero, plays it into Christian Rodriguez. Rodriguez basically nearly gets the goal. Unfortunately for him, big Neven Subotic is there to just pop it off the line like an absolute animal, and then again Aguero gets a shot away, but this time Ter Stegen is there to actually stop it, which is a pretty good goalkeeping from him. But as you see there, 8 shots, 4 on target, he's only had 3 shots, 3 on target, and of course I've scored 2 goals and he's only scored 1. But in the 50th minute of the match, Marquinhos gets played for on goal by Daniel Sturridge. Marquinhos, again, like he always does not miss his opportunities, and pops in the back of the net to make it 3-1. And about 5 minutes later, Januzaj on the ball, waits for Daniel Sturridge to make a run. Daniel Sturridge does make said run, runs around the goalkeeper again this time instead of just basically took my time essentially this time, and this time I pop it in the back of the net to make it a 4-1 lead. So in the 59th minute of the match here, basically from me scoring that second goal with Daniel Sturridge, he stopped playing completely, and it was the most annoying thing in the world. It was like, either just leave the game, or just, like, why would you bother, like, sitting there to watch this on your screen? I don't really see why. But basically I'll show you the 2 goals I scored with Neven Subotic, because he deserves a goal, and Adnan Januzaj, who of course is one of my better players in the game. And eventually I knew that he wasn't playing, so I just basically put the controller down with me in the corner, and I just waited. So eventually it comes to like the 89th minute of the match, I come back to the game, I'm like, well, okay, let's go and play a little bit. And then he's, for some reason, had come back in to play the game for the last 2 or 3 minutes of the match, which just made no sense at all. So as you see there, 6-1 final score is what it's going to end up being. Actually it ends 7-1, because he tries to do a little cheeky thing of scoring own goals in the last minute of the match. Because I know that if you score 3 own goals in a game, it used to automatically cancel the game out, which was really weird, which they put in like PES 2009 or whatever. So Yeah, so final score was 7-1. Daniel Sturridge got man of the match with 7.5 rating, and we got about 2,000 odd GP, and we've got 6 points in Division 7. So we only need 8 more points to get promoted to Division 6, which is pretty good. But as you see here, again, going into Divisions matches, again, as I just said, we only need 8 more points to get into Division 6. So we only need basically 3 more wins, which isn't too hard to get. I mean, I can get that very easily. But basically, again, we face against another thing, Division 7 of 7, because you can only play in Division 7s, and that's what you want. But this was a really, really weird opposition I actually go up against, because you know how you can like check their user details before you start a match, where you're just pressing square by going to add match list and seeing who you're playing. So it's interesting to see, but I'm sure if I remember correctly, this guy had a, let me just say in a moment, because I'm sure I'm talking about, yeah, this guy had a really weird thing. It was really weird, like he had his disconnection was like moderately high, if I remember correctly. It was just really weird, and his team wasn't, it was alright. He had like so Szczesny in goal and Burak Yilmaz up front, but I mean, it was weird that his number of connections was, I think it was like moderately high, which was just weird, because I was like, how can you have a moderately high disconnection but your courtesy rating is AAA, which just made no sense at all. So I'm sure that's this guy. So anyway, this game kicked off, and it was an interesting game, because he was playing a formation which was 4-2-1-3, and basically it sort of countered my formation ever so slightly, but this guy just could not defend properly, that it would like sort of work with him playing, well, 3 in midfield. So as you see in the first minutes of the match here, Turby on the ball down his left hand side, runs past his right back, who is Rafinha. I try and get across, and doesn't really come to anything, and then he eventually clears the ball here with David Fuster. Gives the ball actually straight back to Daniel Sturridge. Sturridge tries to round the player, gives it to Javi Martinez. Martinez gives it to Marquisio. Marquisio just runs around his defender and just pops in the back of the net to make it 1-0 within literally the first 5 minutes of the match. In the 8th minute of the match, Turby on the ball does a nice little step over there. It's just a really nice step over. I don't know, not a little bit of skill, get a shot away. It's a good save from his goalkeeper, but from the resulting corner kick, Adnan Januzaj hits it in with his left foot. And it comes to nothing basically, with Daniel Sturridge heading it to no one, but Iturbe heads it in back into the danger zone, and Javi Martinez pops in the back of the net to make it 2-0. So Javi Martinez scores his first goal for the club, which is a pretty decent goal actually. And in the 29th minute of the match here, Januzaj probably scores one of those better dribbling goals you can possibly score in this game without using any sort of skill, as I just run from my own half, run past about 4 or 5 players, and eventually just get an opportunity and pop in the back of the net with a really, really, really nice composed finish to make it 3-0 before half time. And then Daniel Sturridge on the ball in the 45th minute, well, basically the 42nd minute of the match, gets a strike away, and Szczesny makes a pretty decent save and goal for my opposition. So it comes to the last minutes of the match, and basically I clear the ball, and as you do, the referee blows a whistle to make it, to basically show that it was 3-0 at half time, and we completely dominated them. As you see there, he's only had 1 shot, 1 on target, and I had 7 and 5. Then the 54th minute of the match here, Daniel Sturridge tries to get another goal, doesn't really come to anything. Januzaj gets the ball, gives it to Daniel Sturridge. Sturridge runs past 2 or 3 players, actually does a really, really nice nutmeg there on the centre back, and unfortunately hits it wide. And in the 67th minute of the match, Daniel Sturridge just runs past 2 or 3 players again, gets a strike away. It's a good save from his goalkeeper, comes back out to Januzaj. Januzaj runs past Miranda, his left back, and runs past Miranda, gets fouled by both players, and it comes out, and the referee gives a penalty kick, which Iturbe gets an opportunity to score his first goal for the club, and this time he pops it to the right. So finally found a good penalty taker who can actually pop penalties in, which is pretty good as well. So as we see in the 76th minute of the match, he gets an opportunity with Burak Yilmaz, basically does a pretty good job with getting a strike away, and it's a good save from my goalkeeper. And then in the last minutes of the match, he actually gets an opportunity with Duric and basically gets another opportunity with Yilmaz, and it comes to nothing. And I was fortunate that this guy didn't actually disconnect on me, because I was expecting him to disconnect, well, considering he had a moderately high disconnection rate, but he never disconnected. But as you see there, we won quite comfortably. It was a good match. Javi Martinez with man of the match, and my rankings up to 605, which is really good. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more, and catch you later.